Two Investigates reporter Brooke Jarosz is here taking a look at a loophole that's gone unaddressed for 4 years now.
Well, this is really no mistake. The state's automated system will send out a new ballot if your personal or party information changes. But that convenience has also opened the door to potential voter fraud. The Secretary of State has ignored calls to fix the flaw, leaving it up to counties to police thousands of votes.
Like many California voters, Renee McClure wanted the ease of voting from home, but Alameda County elections sent her not one, but 2 vote-by-mail ballots.
I was anticipating it because I do not trust this state and the voting practices. I was anticipating it, and it happened.
A new ballot was triggered by the statewide voter registration system, all after she recently applied for a new California Real ID, changed the spelling of her name, and changed her political party preference.
They're counting me as 2 people.
Election safeguards are supposed to stop this or flag the original ballot. This machine rejects duplicates or questionable signatures, but there is at least one way around that, allowing someone to vote twice.
One person double voting is wrong. It should be 1 vote, 1 person.
It's hard to catch because the state gives voters the choice to vote by mail or at the polls and switch between the two. Contra Costa County's assistant registrar says that flexibility can create an issue.
The unintended consequence of that is there are a lot of ballots floating around out there.
Those extra ballots allow someone to mail in one ballot and surrender the blank ballot at the polls, then cast a second vote on Election Day. Poll workers can see who received a vote-by-mail ballot, but have no idea if it has been counted or if a voter received more than one.
However remote the possibility is, it is possible. And because you know it's possible, you have to check.
In the 2016 election, Contra Costa County cross-checked Election Day voters with mail-in ballots and discovered 113 cases of double voting. Santa Clara County found 76, Marin County about 19. Other counties found similar problems long after Election Day was over.
It's a vulnerability that could easily be closed.
County elections officials pushed for a fix 4 years ago, suggesting anyone who brings a mail-in ballot to the polls vote provisionally. That means those votes would be set aside, checked, eligibility verified, and then counted after Election Day. But Secretary of State Alex Padilla says that's against the law and told us he stands behind the open process.
The first one that comes back is the one that gets counted. That same voter tries to return another ballot by mail or in person. That second one's not going to get counted, only the first.
But that's not entirely true. Some slip through the cracks without an easy way for poll workers to verify if a vote-by-mail ballot has been received and counted.
Every which way that you try to automate something in an election system, or what you believe is making it easier to vote, you're creating more opportunity for mistakes and fraud to occur.
Logan Churchwell represents the Public Interest Legal Foundation, a nonprofit law firm aimed at improving election integrity. He blames the Secretary of State.
Anyone that says that the system works fine, there's nothing to worry about here, they're essentially saying that voter fraud is the cost of doing democracy, and that's unacceptable in the year 2020.
After more questions, the Secretary of State's office sent this letter to county elections officials, saying they should handle any issues themselves and figure out a way to electronically mark or separate out voters who request multiple ballots. But some counties argue it's too costly, too difficult, or creates more room for error. Instead, they're reactive, just trying to expose the double voting long after the election is over and turn the violators over to prosecutors.
Well, I got my eyes on you. We're looking, we're checking. We take it very personally when people cheat or try to cheat.
But for voters like McClure, this all just reaffirms her distrust in the election system and makes her believe the loophole will be exploited even more in this primary election.
If they know what's going on and they let it happen, that's wrong. If they are aware this problem is existing, then they need to take care of it, not brush it under the rug.
And that vulnerability still remains now, but 15 counties in California, including 3 in the Bay Area, are part of the new Voters' Choice Act program, which requires real-time computer access and can actually determine who has already voted. So that means in Napa, San Mateo, and Santa Clara counties, they have added protections in this year's election. They'll catch that, and double voting won't happen.
You want to emphasize here, this is not a partisan issue.
You know,
this is a loophole.
I've already gotten some people kind of blowing me up.
Well, barking at you a little bit?
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that both sides have come out and said, hey, the Secretary of State needs to address this and hasn't done this. We talk all the time about other countries interfering in our elections. Well, how about the person down the street who really wants their candidate elected, and they go and cast 2 ballots? That's just not fair.
What are the penalties for doing that? I mean, you get in trouble for that, right?
People can be prosecuted, but this takes years to do, and a lot of times we're seeing that people are only having to pay a large fine, but at that point, their vote has already been cast more than once and it's been counted.
All right, Brooks Jarosz, appreciate it. Thank you, Brooks.